In Focus is powered in part by Delta Dental of Colorado, improving the oral health of the communities we serve. deltadentalco.com.
Welcome to In Focus with Eden Lane.
Later we go to the Denver Center Theater Company for their world premiere production of Ed Downloaded by Michael Mitnick. We spoke to him right after his first reading at last year's Colorado New Play Summit. And Kent Thompson gives us an overview of the summit and its mission. But we begin with our second visit to the Spark Theater Company in their new location as they produce Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Since it's such an established play and it's done fairly frequently because it is an actor's kind of play, we love to chew this up. Tell me about your experience with Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf before we mount it here at the Spark Theater.
I had a friend who went to college at the University of Houston and took a playwriting class with Edward Albee, who wrote the play. This was 20 years ago, and that's the first she's the one who introduced me to his work and introduced me to this play, and that's when I first read it and thought this is like the greatest thing I've ever read.
I'm a big fan of Edward Albee generally. I did Zoo's Story when I was in Los Angeles, but I read the play in college and it's just been one of my favorites forever.
I had no experience with the show whatsoever, and but have had people say, "Oh, you'd be great at that show. Go audition." And so that was when all my research started, and I read the show, and then was like, I think there's a lot I didn't get. I better research this some more.
I have been a tremendous fan of the film, even though it came out way before I was born. Elizabeth Taylor's performance just took my breath away, and I just thought it was a masterpiece, and always dreamt of being a part of it someday. Quite excited.
What was it about this script that makes it so wonderful for you as actors?
It's a beautiful script, just gorgeous.
What's beautiful about it? Because it's really full of venom and anger, and so for you to say it's beautiful, what does that mean?
There's a lot of contrasts. He's constantly contrasting in a lot of phrases. He is just full of so much emotion, and the tidal waves is just peaks and valleys throughout the entire 3 acts. Just very poetic.
I like how honest it is, personally, and it's definitely something where you get a view into a relationship that you don't generally get to see. You know what I'm saying? The honesty of it, the cruel, brutal honesty of it is what I love.
I think there's so many layers to it, like an onion. There's all of this surface kind of banter, and there's like the iceberg, underneath. The depth of it is really interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a pre-notion about this play that it's just about these two people arguing and fighting the whole time. But there's so much more to it there's so much more going on underneath, like you said, under the surface. So as actors, you're able to draw that out in your performance, and it really is an actor's play because it allows you to run the gamut of emotions, not just anger, but the whole range of things. So I think that the themes are universal, and I think everyone can relate to it in some way.
One of the other notable features of this is the scene chewing that's built right into the script, no matter who's playing it. And you're doing it in this very tiny, intimate space, which is part of what Spark Theater is known for, is having us right here. So it raises the stakes for you as actors and for us as your audience. So how is that impacting your preparation and the work of this play?
Keeps you honest.
In what way?
Well, you're so close, so the emotion, which is ironic because these people are so fake and put on that mask. However, the audience being that close, I feel like can see through those cracks, and for me, I feel like, okay, the fine line of overacting and not, you can't do that in this theater because it's so close, and so just with that closeness and intimacy, keeps you honest as an actor to say, okay, is this moment the absolute truth of what this character is feeling and going through at this moment? So.
Yeah, Bernie's had to pull me back several times already, so I'm definitely feeling a little big on this stage. So.
Yeah.
I've got a note or two on that.
There's a lot of physicality in this show, and hopefully they're going to feel that. A lot of, whether it's slapping or fighting or kissing or spitting, they are going to feel like they're right in our couch.
And there's a lot of danger in this play, no matter how it's done, but even more so here.
Yeah, like you said, the stakes are higher because this space is so good for this piece because it becomes environmental. Everyone is literally drawn into their dysfunctional world, and you can't not be a part of it. So when I heard it was going to be done at this space, I thought that's great because it just will add so much to the intensity of the show.
And you're opening in just a couple of weeks. It's the new production for the new year at this space, which means you're preparing in this world during the holidays. What is that like for you?
It's kind of brought Christmas down to a nice little normal level instead of so happy. It's made it actually more palatable, believe it or not.
Because everyone, well, not everyone, but most people are so familiar with this script, either as a play or definitely as a film, even if only peripherally. You're going to have to make this real for yourself. You're creating this character anew. This won't be the Martha that we've seen anywhere else, the honey. So tell me, if you can, in just a few words, describe your character the way you're approaching it for me.
I'm definitely coming at it from a place of I've definitely personalized it as far as how uptight I would be if I was in a room where this was happening.
So who is he?
Nick. He's a normal guy that doesn't want to be subjected to this. That's pretty much what he is, which I can relate to. So it works out great.
I think Honey can be played as a character that is just kind of dumb and surfacey and doesn't get it. And I hope to bring to that a little more depth of the stuff that she does get, but playing off that fakeness and, bringing some intelligence to her, even though she puts on this persona. And hopefully that might be a little different than some.
I think that it's been a preconceived notion that Martha is the protagonist of the show, and the more I've read it, I'm not sure. I think it could go either way because I think these characters go through their arc, and George is supposed to be the put on one, but actually he comes around in the end and he's the one who kind of brings it all together. So I guess it depends on how you look at it or how you approach it as an actor, but I think that this character has such a great range of emotions that it's such a joy to do, such a joy to play. So
You said you were so taken with Elizabeth Taylor's performance, so of course you don't want to measure yourself against that. So who is your Martha?
Wow. Actually, I know a few various women in my life, both family and friends, and myself, that I can pull from to create her. I can relate to her in a lot of ways. And I think my goal, because Elizabeth Taylor is so etched in my mind, to not be her and to just, she's so honest, she's so real, and her needs are so commonplace. And I just kind of try and find those needs and make them my own and just kind of create her in my own realm and try to not think about anybody else portraying her.
Is she a bad person?
No, she's just a human.
Just a human. Well, even though this script is 50 years old, I'm really intrigued to see this really young company do this in this unorthodox space, and I can't wait to come and see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Spark Theater's production of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf runs through February 16th. Details are at sparktheater.org. Now the Denver Center Theater Company is producing a world premiere of Ed Downloaded by Michael Mitnick. Here's a look back at our conversation with the young playwright at last year's Colorado New Play Summit just after the first reading. You never know. So we just left your reading at the Colorado New Play Summit for 2012 actually. How do you feel?
I feel happy, relieved, and grateful. I think it was a great, yeah.
Why so?
It was a long process to get here with this play in particular, which involves video actors and actors interacting with pre-shot video. So we were given 2 weeks to compile a pretty elaborate shooting list and rehearse it. And I was worried not just about the play itself, but if the machines would break down, the projector would overheat, which happened during rehearsals. So, but both worked. So it was I do feel a load off.
So tell us just the log line of your play.
The play is set in a different present, and I guess the log line would be our main character Ed has gets to pick 10 memories which are downloaded at the time of his death, and there's a love triangle, and a spurned lover begins to manipulate his memories, and then the play takes off from there.
Because by downloading these memories, it's in a way preserving one's essence for the future?
Yeah, it's a form of immortality that at the time of a person's death, they get to select, depending on how much they're willing to pay, 1 to 10 memories, moments from their lives, which will go on loop, and the person will essentially be living, spending the rest of eternity just within those selected happy moments, presumably happy.
One would hope you'd pick only happy moments.
Right.
So we know this was a commissioned project by the Denver Center Theater Company, and part of that commission was they wanted some sort of technology or multimedia to be featured, but how did you land on this concept?
This concept is something that I've been thinking about for a while. I've been I read a lot of science articles in the news, and the idea of memory downloading and life extension is not really at all science fiction, and that the only thing that is preventing it from happening now is the fact that there isn't enough storage.
Not enough storage.
There's not enough storage to download a human mind, but I think within our lifetimes it should be something that is quite possible. And when doing the commission, I wanted to make sure that I was going to be creating a story that would make technology on stage, multimedia and video, an essential element that if you took it away, the play wouldn't work, as opposed to writing something that just had projections in the background or 39 locations or something like that, which I feel would have been both a cop-out and also a waste of projections. It would make the play worse.
Something I think that you did successfully as well is you focused on character instead of just the gimmick of the downloaded memory and the technology, in that our allegiance may change throughout the play.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's the first act is a 3-act play, and the first act is almost entirely just live actors on stage, and then we try to sort of sneak in backwards into the science fiction element of the story, so it really feels like it is about these 3 characters that we follow, and then the various iterations and variations on scenes that we've seen played out in Act 1, appearing in Act 2 and Act 3, but on location and in video.
And in each of those acts, we may feel more sympathies toward one character than we do in another act.
That's what I'm hoping. I think that the best love triangles are the ones that are not necessarily balanced, but almost are equal and opposite. Is that a lot of movies that you go see where there's, for instance, a romantic comedy, if it's the central character is trying to choose between, 2 options, but more often than not, they make one of them a real straw man, someone that you say, well, of course you wouldn't want to be with that schlub, you want to be with this other person. Whereas some of the best love triangles in movies, like something like broadcast news, you just not only are you not sure who the person is going to end up with, your opinion of who that person should be changes throughout, depending on the specific situation and where you are in the story.
That's always good storytelling, but I always wonder how a writer is able to change their sympathies, change their voice as they're creating that so that they take us along. How were you able to do that?
I think I'm not too aware of, anytime I'm writing, I'm trying to both not pay attention to myself or say, oh, here's where I shove in that joke or that great line that I think is so great that I wrote in some notebook. But if I'm writing something, I should be having a similar experience to the audience, where and it sounds kind of hokey, but the characters are leading me along and I'm discovering things and getting excited, and actually the speed at which I type is what slows me down the most. And then there comes a point of editing, where
That dreaded editing.
Yeah, right. Where I can look back and say, okay, let's make this character a bit less shrewish, or this character is so likable or twee or something. Let's complicate her a little bit more in this moment. But if I find that I'm really having to re-engineer characters on a major editing level, then it's probably not working at all. And for instance, this play is something that I essentially restarted after a first draft.
So where do you think you are in the process of this piece, Edward Downloaded?
This piece is, we got, I think, pretty far and pretty close to being able to see the draft that we ended up with, which is, I think here we went through 4 different scripts just in 2 weeks of just rewriting and reshooting and re-rehearsing. So it was a very focused time. But what's wonderful is now coming out of it and being able to see it in front of an audience, it's opened my eyes and the director Sam Buntrock's eyes, and our video maven Charlie Miller's eyes into realizing what advantages we can shoot for the next draft.
Well, I look forward to seeing the next draft. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see you again at the New Play Summit next year, making your world premiere with the Denver Center Theater Company for this play.
I would truly love that.
Well, I really appreciate you coming out to talk to us,
of course,
immediately after your reading, because I'm sure it's filled with emotions and energies that you want to enjoy and sort of download yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Ed Downloaded plays through this year's Colorado New Play Summit through February 17th. Details are available at denvercenter.org. The Denver Center Theater Company's producing artistic director, Kent Thompson, gave us an overview of the Colorado New Play Summit and their ongoing mission to develop new work. This is your 6th Colorado New Play Summit?
Actually, it's my 7th.
Your
I've been
7th.
telling people it was my 6th, and I've been corrected. It's my 7th.
It's your 7th.
Yes.
This program has been so wonderful for audiences in Colorado, not to mention the Denver Center Theater Company. Tell me what it means to the Denver Center Theater Company to continue to do this for 7 whole years.
Well, I think it's a great event that we have annually that the Denver Center for the Performing Arts supports. It's center-wide. And what it's meant for the Denver Center is that we can actually start creating the plays of tomorrow, and hopefully the classics of tomorrow. But we've also had some of the most exciting new writing for theater every year on our stages, and that's really what's wonderful about it. I mean, we want to change the way theater is created across the United States, and we want to add to the plays that are taught in history books, in theater history books and in English classes, and we're doing that. But we also want to create a great contemporary view of America and what we go through as a culture and a society.
The work that you're able to encourage, even if you don't select it for a full-on production, is exactly that. It's meaningful, it's relevant. In many ways, it could be current events, it could be literature.
Yes.
So how do you select the playwrights that you invite to participate in the summit?
Well, we read a lot of plays. I mean, we read probably 600 new plays a year. So we go through a lot of new scripts. We also commission writers, so we'll have commissions that are in each part of a summit.
Those are writers you met from the
earlier
summit.
summits, or we've done their work in our seasons. So the way we pick it, I think, is we want really great storytelling. We also want a diversity of types of shows. So this year we have a musical of Sense and Sensibility next to Lisa Loomer's Home Free, which is about homeless teens in the Northwest, next to a play about rock climbing. So we really try to find a balance that's all over the place, and we look for plays that are adventurous rather than plays that are perhaps more standardly conventional. Because we think that that kind of innovative playwriting is actually what's going to appeal to the next generation of theater goers and will be what we're talking about as a culture.
It also helps you draw the best talent in terms of designers, directors, actors to work here at the Denver Center
It
Theater
really
Company.
does. I mean, I think for the first time since I've been here, we've actually got 2 Tony-nominated directors working on readings, and we've got another director that's taking 2 shows to Broadway as soon as the summit's over.
And in case someone doesn't know, the Denver Center Theater Company itself is a Tony-winning company.
That's right. That's right.
So all of that striving for creativity and excellence is really borne out in the plays that you select for full productions. I'm really glad that I've been able to successfully predict which ones
Yes.
you do for the last
Yes.
few years. And congratulations on the success of the 2 so far that you've selected from last year's summit that are running right now.
Yes, thanks so much. It's been terrific with both The Whale by Samuel D. Hunter and Two Things You Don't Talk About at Dinner by Lisa Loomer. And I'm sure both of these plays will have a future life in American theater. The Whale will have a production in New York next year. We know that already.
Wow.
So it's terrific. You know, it's terrific that we have that kind of impact on these plays, that we let them and promote them so they'll go on to the rest of the country. And a lot of the reason we have a summit, a festival of readings and new plays is so producers, artistic directors, literary managers, theater people will in fact come here from all over the country, and they may pick the plays.
Which is what's going on behind us. People are arriving to register because it's
Yes.
about to begin and you're getting ready for your guests. Now, as you pick these plays, the Denver Center Theater Company's name is attached to most of them in a very important way.
Yes,
Sense and Sensibility has had a creative development life before it has arrived here.
yes.
And I have to say, just listening to the music in advance of this weekend, I'm really excited. What is the relationship that the Denver Center Theater Company will have with that play?
Well, what we did is we proposed a 2-week workshop versus a 1-week workshop because a musical needs the time to learn the music, to really get so many other things down that a play may not need. And so it's allowed them to do some staging of various scenes for their production. And what they wanted...
Not full-on choreography, but...
Not full-on choreography, but what they wanted to do is figure out how, especially how the ensemble characters who play everything from most affluent and aristocratic Londoners to the villagers in the village that the Jane Austen characters are living in. And what it allowed the producers, they had their 2 commercial producers attached to it, and the creative team, is to really figure out how the play and the musical will work, how it could be staged, what the problems are with staging. So that's very exciting for us. What we have as the Denver Center Theater Company is we have the first right of refusal to do the world premiere of the piece. And the play's been in development about 5 years, which is not surprising for a musical. And it's been with these 2 commercial producers for the last 1.5 years. And at that point, we hopefully will do the world premiere. And then if it did move on to a commercial production, we would participate in a minor way in that production. Or we could participate in a major way, but that would be a further investment of money.
There's always that question of money, which,
There is.
which also sort of highlights a role that the New Play Summit and events like this play in bringing shows to Broadway in substitution for out-of-town tryouts in many ways.
Right. So really what's happened over the last 25 years, I think there's a statistic that with plays that have won the Pulitzer Prize or the Tony in the American theater the last 25 years, 24 out of 25 have started in regional theaters. So we're kind of the birthing ground of new plays and musicals now. It's so characteristic that a regional theater, major regional theater, will start a production and then eventually it'll get to New York. And I think the same thing will happen with Sense and Sensibility and many of these other plays.
And another thing that's unique about this New Play Summit or workshop is that the community of Denver is able to participate and attend free of charge.
Right. We believe that we need to let our patrons and our artistic community from Denver and Colorado watch these new plays as they develop. And what's very exciting is if you see a reading of a play, and then you see a full production, and then you see that it's going to go on to a theater, which happened with The Whale, so that people saw it, then they're going to see the staging of it, find out, and people from the audiences always come up to me and say, well, I like the reading better, or I love the production, but I didn't anticipate this, and then to see it go on beyond that. And I think it's part of the way we want to encourage Colorado to be involved in the creative process of actually creating a play.
They not just get to feel ownership of the play because it sort of developed here,
Yes.
but they also get to feel connected to the Denver Center Theater Company in a very important and intimate way.
They do, because the other thing that's unique about the summit is we invite all of our commissioned playwrights to attend, and all of the playwrights that we're producing in a given year. So unlike many new play festivals, there'll be 15, 16, 17 playwrights here. And that's really extraordinary that you have that many playwrights both emerging and established in one place, and you can talk to them and they can talk to each other. And that makes it a very unique experience for audiences.
Well, I know that they'll be seeing our conversation after the fact. It was too late to attend, but they can always keep their eye on what's happening at the Denver Center Theater Company. And everyone is arriving now, so I know you need to entertain your guests. I really appreciate
do. They're
you
coming
giving
in
us
from
time.
all over the country.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Details for this year's Colorado New Play Summit are available at denvercenter.org. The first national tour of Warhorse is now playing at the Buell Theater. Next week we meet 2 Coloradans in the production. We also learn about bringing the main character, Joey, to life from the team of actors who play him. Joey is the star of Warhorse, playing at the Buell Theater right now. This magnificent animal is only here for 12 days. Don't miss your chance to come and see him and the rest of the cast of this beautiful show.
That's all for this edition. Remember to join us on Facebook and Twitter. With all that Colorado has to offer, we're here to help you keep it in focus. Thanks for watching. Good night.